Hey y'all, it's Ashley Bookish Realm and I am back with another video. Today is day 20 of Vlogmas. We made it through 20 days straight. I'm in shock. 5 more days left. That's it. 5 more days. This is mind-blowing. Like, I'm completely blown away. So yeah, oh my gosh. So I am continuing with my best of for the year of 2020. As you know, I'm doing these categories. By the time that this goes up, you will have already seen my top fiction and my top nonfiction. Now we're talking about my best or top romance reads of 2020. So this is a lengthy list, kind of, sort of. Remember, it's only in between 8 to 10 selections for each category, but on this one I have a couple of series that I kind of cheated on a little bit. So for this theme, of course, I definitely had to pick a romance-based holiday song, so I decided to go with Snowflakes of Love by Toni Braxton, which is a more obscure holiday song. So as with all of my other videos, let's jump into some facts about the song. So there's not a lot of facts about this song necessarily. It was written and of course performed by Toni Braxton. This song was specifically featured on her first Christmas album that was called Snowflakes. It released in 2001, but this song failed to do well on the charts, which is probably why a lot of people have not heard about it. Okay y'all, so let's go ahead and jump into the books. So the first one that I have on this list is My Fake Rake by Ava Lee, and this was a really good romance. So I actually wanted to start reading more historicals because I think that they are taking the romance community and just the community at large by storm, and I had never read a historical before, and I know that this one came highly recommended by a couple of people, so I decided to listen to it on audio, and it was so good. It is the first book in the Union of the Rake series, and at the time of me filming this video, I'm currently listening to the second one on audio. So this is an interesting concept that the author is going with. They have some 80 films elements to them, so I believe this one heavily reminded me of the 80s film Can't Buy Me Love. So what we see in this one, kind of similar to the movie, is that we have two characters, one by the name of Grace, one by the name of Sebastian, and they are friends, and he enlists her to help with making him a rake. And it's similar to like the movie in which he enlists the heroine to make him cool and fit in with everybody. She's kind of doing the same thing in this book, and of course things happen. They end up falling in love. I think I had a huge misconception of historicals before reading this, to be quite honest with you. I did not realize how steamy they could be, and this one definitely was up there on the level of steam, and I just really enjoyed how the characters worked together. I love that they were both kind of like science nerds. It was just really cute. They had great chemistry, and there was this particular aspect of the book in which our heroine discusses how important it is for her to have explored her own body, which I think is a definite plus to any book. Just I love the positive representation of self-love, and that she was open and ready to proclaim that to Sebastian. So that definitely was a plus for me. Plus, I really liked her writing. It was easy to get into. It was just, I just connected with it. So I definitely had to put this one on the list. I think this is so funny because I was like, I'm gonna do this early and I may have to make amendments, but I enjoyed the first one, but I think I'm gonna end up liking the second one better. So, but for right now, we're just going to keep this one on the list. The next one that I have on this list is Training My Heart to Love You by Monica Walters. This is one that I have talked about a lot on this channel, and one that I have talked about quite a bit during Vlogmas. This focuses on a plus size heroine who is kind of just on her own, trying to make her own goals and living her life, but she does not have a healthy relationship with her mother, and that's part of the dynamic of this story, is her trying to figure out how to mend the relationship with her mom and why she doesn't have a good relationship with her mom, and it kind of explores some things that have happened to her mom that have altered the relationship that she has with her daughter. But she ends up meeting our hero, who is just so sweet, so kind, so loving, and it isn't focused on like negative body image. She doesn't have to come into loving her body. She doesn't have to learn to enjoy her body. She doesn't have to teach the hero how to, you know, love her for who she is. It is already there, and it's not the focus of the story, which I do love. I love good plus size representation. I need more good plus size representation, and I really did enjoy this one. This is one of the books that pushed me more into reading Black indie romance. I started a little bit last year, and then I started off the new year by reading this book, and I just really enjoyed it, and the cover is absolutely beautiful, and I need to check out more books from Monica Walters. The next book that I have on here should be no surprise, because this is one that's also taking the booktube community by storm, and this is the Kingmaker. This is the first book in the All the King's Men duet, and Kennedy Ryan has just been taking booktube by storm, and I know that a lot of people have now read the Kingmaker. It is one that I really enjoyed this year. I love that we get some extensive representation. Our heroine is a part of the Native community, and she goes hard for her community, and it starts young when she's a teenager and she meets our hero. And what's so good about this romance, or what I loved about this romance specifically, is that it is a lengthy romance in the fact that we get to see their romance across time periods. So starting from when she's a teenager up until when she's an adult. And I kind of like that. I don't think I had seen that element specifically in a romance until I read this one, where we actually get to grow up with the characters and we get to see them at different points in their life and where they are romantically. And it was so crazy. I mean, what's so great about this is that there's this dual thing going on where we get to see not only a complex and really well developed romance, but also a lot of information and social commentary on the state of the Native community and how our hero's family does not necessarily take that history into consideration. And I think that was really interesting for Kennedy Ryan to do, and also a good thing to do, considering that she is writing about a marginalized character. And I think that she did a lot of research. She did put a note in the beginning saying that she did a lot of research and that she reached out specifically to Native communities to make sure that the Native representation was done the way that it should have been done, and I did really appreciate that. I will say that this is the type of book where when you get to the end of the book, you're going to want to have the next book, and I didn't have the next book, and it ends on a heck of a cliffhanger. I mean, a heck of a cliffhanger. So I still need to pick up the second one, and then there's a spin-off series called Queen Move, and I really want to read both of those. But this was good, and I wasn't sure what I was going to get into, or what my expectations were going into this romance, specifically because I had heard so much about Kennedy Ryan and I had never read anything by her, and she very much so is a hyped author. But in terms of what I have read by her this year, very much so, I understand why. I've read 2 books by her this year, and this one just was my favorite of the 2. I think it was just so well done, and the chemistry and the real life issues that they deal with, not only together but separately, was great. And I really enjoy our hero, although, you know, he needs to do some groveling. So the next one that I have on my list is also another one that has taken the booktube community by storm, and this is Desperate Measures, which is the first book in the Wicked Villain series by Katie Robert. I think Katie Robert is just another author that has been taking the booktube community by storm, and Desperate Measures, or the whole Wicked Villain series, if you didn't know, is actually it's a whole romance series based off of popular Disney characters, except they're twisted. So this first one, Desperate Measures, actually is a reimagining of Jasmine and Jafar and Aladdin, where Aladdin is actually the villain and Jafar is, he's not the good guy, but he's a romantic interest. And I was thrown off by this one because I think that this was my first step into dark romance. And this is not even on the darker end. This is just a little different from what I was used to reading. And this is my first time coming into contact with CNC. And I was thrown off at first by, I was like, wait, hold on. And then I realized, I was like, oh, okay. Now I get what's going on. And I was surprised. I was like, I really enjoyed it. I remember the first time I talked about this book, I just really I blushed because I was like, wow. Because I was like, should I have enjoyed this as much as I did? And then, you know, just watching more romance booktubers talk about like different tropes and different kinks, and you know, looking at things like this is a fantasy world and you find what you like, you find what you don't like. So this for me has kind of pushed me a little bit into that darker side that I did not expect to enjoy, and I did. I ate this book up. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I ate this book up and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I never would have thought that I would have wanted to see Jasmine and Jafar get together, but boy oh boy. And in this first one we also see like glimpses of other characters that make that had their own books. I think Hook was in this one, and I was Hook is in this one. I think Meg, like from Hercules, Hades. I think that's it. I could be wrong though, but I know that we do see glimpses of other characters. But if you're looking for like a step into dark romance and you know, you're interested in ruining your childhood, this is definitely the way to go, because oh boy, it was so hot. Don't worry, I have the second one on Hoopla. I'm listening to it on audio and it's so good. It's so good. Okay, on to the next one. The next one that I have on this list is another dark romance, but it's like super dark. I mean, I was surprised. I ate this one up too, and it was oh my gosh, it was crazy. So the biggest surprise of 2020 hands down in terms of enjoyment goes to this book. Definitely goes to this book, and that is The Dare by Harley Larue. So The Dare is about this heroine who is going to this party, and I believe they're college age, maybe a little bit older, but they are definitely post-secondary. And they're going to this party, and our heroine runs into this guy who she used to go to high school with, and he used to be kind of like, I guess, this like recluse or something along those lines, something like that. And a lot of kids made fun of him, and then when she sees him, she's like, oh, okay, like this is the same kid. Like he kind of like grows up. And they make a dare. She has to end up pretty much doing everything that he says, like any commands that he makes, she has to follow. And at first, like, I mean, he has her doing some wild stuff that she had no idea, like, that she was interested in. And she figures out quickly that she's super into it. And it goes from there. So I'm just gonna read you like what the content warnings are. So there's kinks for heavy erotic humiliation, heavy fear play, heavy pain play, knife play, CNC play, boot worship, spanking, crying, clown, spit, bondage, light public play, and light blood play. And this book is only like 124 pages. So it's super intense, but it's good. I really enjoyed it more than I thought I was ever going to enjoy it. And it had me fanning myself in some parts. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know that I would find that interesting, and not even necessarily like in terms of my own life, like would I do some of this stuff? Probably not, but reading about it, it was fun. The next one that I have on this list is Rugged by Shea Violet. This is the second book that I have read by Shea Violet. I think this was the second one that I read by her. She is a Black romance author that writes specifically interracial romances, and I read one before that I think took place during New Year's as part of this New Year resolutions series that she has. But then I read this one just randomly because it took place in the wilderness, and I was like, oh, this one probably is going to seem really good. And plus, I think that I had this connection with the heroine. She ends up going to this cabin on this property that her great-grandmother used to own, and I think I actually talked about this one in my favorite romances just in general, but this is definitely one that I had as a fave for 2020. And when she goes to this cabin, she meets our hero who works on the property that her great-grandmother owned, and he actually was a friend of her great-grandmother. And of course, with them spending time together in the wilderness, they end up falling for each other. I think I just like the, not necessarily so much heavily just the romance, it was like the atmosphere that Shea created with this romance. It was very much so calming, and the fact that they were in isolation and it was them in nature, and I think he had a dog, but it was just very like, I would love to be in a cabin somewhere with someone isolated falling in love. Like, put me in that movie. I just think I like the atmosphere that she was able to create with the characters and the scenery and where it took place, and that's what made it a favorite. Plus, I really do enjoy Shea Violet's writing. She has a writing style that I enjoy. She usually develops her characters very, very well. So this one is good if you're looking for a wilderness romance, which I didn't know that I was looking for it in 2020. Since we were in isolation for a great portion of 2020, but I definitely needed it. It just felt good. It just felt good to see isolation in a very positive and loving way. The next one that I have on this list is actually a series. This is where I'm cheating a little bit, and this is the After Hours series by Ava Freeman. This was the first time that I read a romance specifically that was contemporary romance, that was a sapphic romance, and featured Black women in powerful positions. So this series is a series, I think I've talked about this quite a bit too, is a series where you don't necessarily have to read them in order. They are only connected by theme, and they all are like workplace romances. So a lot of times we see our two main characters actually meeting in a work environment, and then a relationship develops from there. The first book, I believe, just happens for two people who work in the same office, and one had an attraction to the other and they didn't realize that they were actually both attracted to each other, and the romance goes from there. And I think the conflict in that one dealt with someone's ex coming into the picture, not cheating, but just someone trying to make themselves relevant again. The second one actually takes place at another office, but one of our main characters is the actual like person that works in the office, like as I think it was a law firm, and the other character actually is visiting as an IT consultant, and they are both heads of their departments, and they have a very, very interesting romance because one of the main characters is not from the United States, and she's only in the United States working as an IT consultant on a work visa, so that adds an element of conflict. And then the third one is a librarian romance, in which we have a main character who actually is a librarian that gets a grant to help out with a special collection, and then the other main character is a writer, and she gets accepted into this grant program, and then that's how they meet. And I thought it was very intriguing that they are working with like a, you know, a librarian and a writer. Like that was my favorite one. I think I talked about that one in my wrap up, where that one had some serious editing issues, and then I found out that I actually had an older version of it and that there's a better developed version out. So that definitely changed the way that I feel towards the series. It was just, I just had never read anything like it before in terms of seeing a sapphic romance between two black women, and the black women are all in power positions making power moves. I had never seen that before, so I really appreciated that. And the Librarian Romance, I was like, that could be me, you know, that could be me meeting my writer. But I'll keep dreaming. I'll keep dreaming. The next one, or next two that I have on this list, I'm cheating with again, because these are these are part of kind of like a Halloween duology written by Shea Sanders, and one is called Trick and the other is called Treat, and they both take place during Halloween. And Trick is about a couple, they're not a couple of course in the beginning, but our heroine gets tricked into going on a date with our hero, and and she ends up really liking him. Like, he has this I'm trying to figure out, like, coffee shop hipster vibe, I listen to neo soul, I paint type of vibe going on, and she wasn't used to that, and she was very much so a little bit more high maintenance, and he was very chill, and it was like the perfect balance. And when they got back home, she saw that, yeah, he was great. He was a great guy in many ways. So I don't want to say too much about this one or the other one because they're only like 30 pages each. And the other one, Treat, which was my first time reading a romance set up this way, was about a couple already that had been established. Like, they had been together for years, they had kids already, and this one was about them trying to go back and rekindle their romance. And he ends up gifting her kind of like a present on Halloween, and tries to be a little bit more, I want to say flexible, but be a little bit more open to experiences that his partner wanted to do, and he finds that he enjoys them as well. I enjoyed it as well. This ends up being a menage of some sorts, and that's all I'm gonna say. But if you're looking for Halloween, these two I really did enjoy. I enjoy these thoroughly. The next one that I have is A Tale of Two Cities, Thanksgiving novella by Alexandra Warren, and this was really cute. I really enjoyed this one. I don't know what it was about the two of them together that was so cute, but it definitely was super cute. And it is a it's interesting because our hero is actually in the hometown of our heroine, and he works at a barbershop. He knows her family, and he has heard a lot about her, but he hadn't met her up until the point of this book. And they meet, and it's an instantaneous attraction. I think he had already seen her because she's a up-and-coming movie star, TV star, and so he already knew that she was attractive. But when they meet in person, he was like, okay, like, they're super attracted to each other. Like, he's attracted to her, she's attracted to him, and really there's not like a lot that happens, except we're kind of watching their romance develop based on their character development and how they have to learn to open up to each other, and how they're both kind of hesitant at first, because with her being a movie slash TV star and him being a barber back in what is now their hometown, there's some issues that they would have to work through in terms of like how would they keep a relationship going. And they both hadn't been in a relationship in a while. He had moved from his old town, like trying to stay out of trouble, and she used the movie and TV scene as an opportunity to kind of, you know, get out of her town, do better for herself. So watching them kind of open up to each other, I think, was probably the most beautiful aspect of this entire novella. I think that that's probably why I loved it so much. And Alexandra Warren, from what I have been reading of her this year, I think is very good at writing happy for nows. So I don't know if I've read one by her yet that's been like a happily ever after. Like, everything has kind of been so far for me. I'm sure she does have happily ever afters, but for me right now it's been a happily for now, and that has been, it's been done so well. Like, I feel at peace with the way that this one was even ended, even though we don't necessarily know like where their story is going to go, if they're going to be able to maintain this relationship, but we know that like in this moment they're happy, and she does it in such a skillful way that I'm not itching for more. Like, would I love to know more about their romance? Absolutely. I mean, why wouldn't I? Because I think that they're such a dynamic couple. But at the same time, I'm like, if this is all you're going to give us, I can be satisfied with that. So this definitely hands down one of my favorites of 2020. And the last one that I have on this list is A Little Stuffing by Ashley Nicole. I think I just am going to enjoy Ashley Nicole as a writer because she's funny. Like, everything that I have read from her so far this year, and I think I've read 1, 2, 3, 4 books from her this year, and they have been funny. Like, she has a wonderful sense of humor, and it really shines in this book and its companion book, which I have talked about a little bit on this channel, probably talked about in one of these Vlogmas videos as well. But this is about two individuals who meet because our heroine is a family friend, and our hero, of course, is at Thanksgiving dinner with his family, and she comes, and they already know each other, but there's this unspoken attraction between the two of them, and it starts off as pretty much like a one-night stand. It's like, okay, we're trying to get this done, get it in real quick, and then that was it. And pretty much like that's where the first one kind of leaves off, but the second one, we get to see all of the cuteness, all of the most adorable moments, the cuddling, the slow falling in love, and realizing that they wanted to try something beyond just a physical relationship. And I really enjoyed that. But let me tell y'all, I have said it a million times before, and I will continue to say it, that second book had me in tears, laughing so hard because it was just that good. It was just really, really good. I mean, where can you go wrong writing a scene about chitlins and how bad they make a house smell? And it's hilarious. It was hilarious. And oh god, I mean, like, even thinking about that makes my mouth feel disgusting. Hate chitlins, never will eat them. They smell like crap. So yes, definitely check those out. Definitely check out Ashley Nicole because she's just humorous, she's funny, she's just someone that I can see myself loving in 2021. All right, y'all, so those were my favorite romances of 2020. Let me know in the comment box below if you read romance. I know some of you don't, so that's definitely okay if you're not a romance reader. But if you do read romance, let me know in the comment box below what was your favorite romance of 2020, or let me know if there's romance that you're looking forward to in 2021, or if you're interested in any of the romances that I've talked about here. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to follow me on social media, they'll be down in the description box below. If you're looking for ways to support my channel, they'll also be down in the description box below, and I'll be back with another video tomorrow. Bye.